Well, there was a huge controversy this past weekend as PayPal under fire for making some changes to its service. And you got to check this one out. We've got PayPal stock has dropped 6% at least, and perhaps more after a flood of users are canceling their accounts. So shares in PayPal are off about $5 billion in market cap after a massive internet campaign to cancel accounts went viral. That's in response to the company's now reversed policy that would fine users $2,500 if they were to allegedly promote misinformation or hate. But after the massive backlash, the company backpedaled on the line in their user agreement, which stated for each violation, PayPal says users are subject to repercussions. Those include liquidated damages of $2,500 per violation, with the money being taken directly from a person's PayPal account. So if you say, so I'm making this YouTube video right now, and if they thought that there was misinformation in it, PayPal could go, hey, I'm going to go find Blake Wally, and I'm going to remove $2,500 from his account, or send him a bill since I don't have that much in there, perhaps, to punish me for information. So this is just like an online banking service. What do they care what you're talking about online? But they've been heavily politicized over the years, targeting conservatives, and finally it just reached a new level this weekend, and now people are really bailing on the platform in droves. And here is Elon Musk, who was involved with the early days of PayPal making it, saying that it's an insane policy to do this, to seize money from users if it disagrees with their beliefs. So the financial services company, which has repeatedly deplatformed organizations and individual commentators for their political views, will expand its existing list of prohibited activities on November 3rd. Among the changes are prohibitions on the sending, posting, or publication of any messages, content, or materials that promote misinformation or present a risk to user safety or well-being. Users are also barred from the promotion of hate, violence, racial, or other forms of intolerance that is discriminatory. Now here's a tweet from David Marcus saying, it's hard for me to openly criticize a company I used to love and gave so much to, but PayPal's new policy goes against everything I believe in. A private company now gets to decide to take your money if you say something they disagree with. It's insanity. Yeah, it's like a swear jar or something. Like, even if they disagreed and you were out of line, maybe they'd fine you like $1 or $2. You got to throw $1 in the jar. That'd be one thing. But $2,500 just pulling it out of your bank account is just outrageous. And here's a great article out of Epic Times from Jeffrey Tucker saying the PayPal fiasco was no accident, as they've tried to backtrack, but we all saw what happened. So this is October 8th. They sent the update to its terms of use, or acceptable use policy. It included a shocking addition. It reserved the right to confiscate money from people's accounts if they spread misinformation. And they've been targeting specific people for a long time. I know people personally that it's happened to, and it's only going to get worse. But this time they think they really overplayed their hand and thought they could sneak this past us. So after global protests and news coverage from alternative sources, PayPal finally relented and restored their accounts without explanation. Twitter filled up with announcements from people who were canceling their accounts. But already by the following day, PayPal reversed, claiming the banning of misinformation, it was just a mistake. So somebody in the PR department or whatever saying that he noticed recently went out an error that included incorrect information. According to a spokesperson that told the Epic Times, PayPal is not fining people for misinformation, and this language was never intended to be inserted in our policy. In other words, PayPal claimed that its policy on misinformation was itself misinformation. So it's very likely that the user protest itself and the big sell-off in PayPal stock made a crucial crucial difference. We can't live in a world where our essential rights, privacy, and liberties are always hang in the balance and depend on Twitter-based protests in order to have them recognized. Yeah, imagine if they tried to pass something like this back in 2005 before the emergence of these social media companies. Who would you be able to tell? It has to be word of mouth, or maybe you get to write a letter to the editor in your newspaper. Hopefully it makes your nightly news, but it's the pros and cons of Twitter. Even though it does do a lot of censorship, at least people can still have a platform to communicate these sorts of events that do need coverage where you're not going to see it from the media. Surely PayPal doesn't expect that anyone on the planet really believes that the claim that this was an error. There's no way. Everyone knows that something as illegally and institutionally critical as the acceptable use policy would have to go through many layers of compliance bureaucracy and attorneys, especially highlighting the changes. So Jeffrey Tucker brings up a lot of great points in saying that the change was so obviously approved at the highest levels. It was intended to stick, and PayPal had every intention of preparing the way to confiscate funds from people based on the political loyalties and opinions. So the good news is that there's pushback, as the former president of PayPal, David Marcus, and I already covered that tweet, along with Elon, agreeing that this has gone too far. It's insanity. But still, the trajectory here is clear. Its most frightening step in the ongoing rise of tyranny in the world today, that your very ability to move money or even earn an income will be officially declared as contingent upon the opinions you express. It's next level despotism that hasn't yet happened in any systematic way in the United States. But in China, it's now institutionalized. The past year has shown us many examples of how the Chinese Communist Party uses digital apps to turn on or off people's ability to speak, associate, travel, and move money. Compliance is everything. And to some extent in Canada, it's already happening as the government invaded the bank accounts of protesting truckers and those who supported them with donations. So it's a desperate authoritarian maneuver to crack down on your nation's dissidents and prevent them from doing basic commerce, and then targeting and making them enemies of the state if they dare not comply with your tyranny. So it's all too tragic. PayPal set up initially as a means of obtaining financial independence from government-controlled banks. It's almost like the precursor to cryptocurrency, which has come later and much more privatized. It even hoped to become an independent form of money. All these years later, it has been captured by interests that have the very opposite ambition. They want you deplatformed, canceled, and even left bereft of your ability to earn a living or feed your family. So here's a great tweet from Monica Crawley, who says that PayPal wanted to try out a CCP-style social credit system, but got busted and tried to walk it back. But understand, this is where everything is heading unless we stop it. And here's another tweet from Glenn Greenwald saying this is absolutely one of the new frontiers of state corporate censorship, punishing dissidents in the West through exclusion from the financial system. Trudeau froze the bank accounts of trucker protests with no due process. This is their future. That's if they can get away with it. But now they have been exposed and people are pulling back. So I would just suggest, I've used PayPal a lot, and but I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to get rid of that. Also, Venmo, which is also owned by PayPal. This is clearly an attempt at authoritarianism, as the deep state, the globalists are getting desperate to control the future of humanity. They have a different plan for our future. So it's good to see people rising up and finding different alternatives. I think crypto would be a good one, even though they're getting kind of shellacked in a way, but people have to find an alternative method, because people have been getting money locked up in PayPal anyway when they freeze accounts. But then if they're going to fine you for allegedly putting out misinformation, and who chooses who the misinformation is, they're going to be joining with these independent fact checkers along with the government, or maybe your friends at the World Economic Forum that are going to decide what the facts are. So it's crazy times, but here we are. So close your PayPal, close your Venmo, send a message, or we will be creating our own own financial imprisonment and tyranny like you wouldn't believe. So it'll be interesting to see how PayPal survives this PR disaster, but they have no one to blame but themselves for this totalitarian overreach. But anyway, that's all I've got on this subject, so thank you for listening, and we'll catch you next time.